to the Marketing Nomad Show, the fun pit stop for all things Instagram, where I also share my entrepreneurial journey, some of my lessons, wins, and challenges along the way, so it can inspire you to get started and grow on Instagram as well. Welcome. All right, guys, welcome back to the Marketing Nomad Show. Now, today, we're going to talk about how do you deal with competition. Now, a lot of this episode is going to be mostly my own experiences with competition and how I personally handle my own competition. I know that that will be a really good starting point for you. And how I'm going to go about this episode is I'm actually going to give you guys a few steps. I think there are 6 steps in total. And I'm also going to share about 2 or 3 scenarios that have happened to me in the past 1.5 years of having my business. All right. So we're going to go over that, and then we're going to take a look at how I reacted to the situation, and those also form different ways that you can also, kind of deal with your competition. All right, guys, I've got my notes ready. I've got my water bottle beside me, and I'm all ready to go. All right, guys, let's get into how to deal with competition. Now, before we get into, the nitty-gritty of this episode, I do want to kind of put a little bit of a childhood memory that kind of helps you understand how I deal with my competition or my mindset when it comes to my competition. So when I was a kid, all right, and sometimes, things happen, and I used to get bad grades. Not often, but, once or twice, or probably it was in Hindi, or it was in some subject that I couldn't care less for. So I would come home and I would, run up to my mom. Actually, I would hide out in my room for a while, and then I would just go up to my mom and I'll tell her, well, Mom, everyone else in class did bad, so you can't really put this on me. And at that time, my mom would always tell me, I've said this about 100 times in my life, I think, guys, and every single time my mom has told me, I don't care about the rest of the class. I just care about what you are doing, all right? And over time, even though that pissed me off at that point, and I was so irritated, and I was like throwing my tantrums and all of that, at that point, it kind of brought about this whole mentality in me to just focus on myself and not bother about what other people were doing. And it took time, of course, for me to get to that state, and I didn't even realize that I'd gotten to that point until I started my own business, and I was like, I don't care. So it's kind of a really good thing that, she did that, and then she enforced that mindset in me. And today, it doesn't matter to me if I have competition or not. It doesn't really bother me if somebody else is working in the Instagram space and stuff like that. So that being said, yes, when I first started my business, I was a bit petty. I'm going to be honest with you. I was a little bit petty when it came to competition. Even though I did not care about what they were doing, there were these moments where I slipped up and I did care a little bit. And of course, with these 6 steps that I'm going to talk to you guys about, I actually was able to overcome whatever little setbacks I had in my mindset when it comes to competition. Okay? So first off, before we get into the steps, let's talk a little bit about why competition's good. And I know you're going to look at me and you're going to be like, Prit, what are you even saying? Well, hear me out. Competition is really, really good. And it's good for you, not just your consumers or your clients or your customers, because it actually drives you to invent more, to kind of create a product that is more suited to your audience. It drives that innovation in you. Okay? So if, for example, we didn't have any competition in the world, there would just be one player in the field, and well, A, it wouldn't be fair to the consumers, and B, the biggest player in the field, they themselves would not really have any motivation to improve on their products or scale or, kind of bring that innovation because, well, necessity is the mother of invention. All right. So basically, that's why competition is good. It helps you to stop staying stagnant, it drives you to move forward, and it helps you to create new paths. All right? Now, in the online world, yes, oh God, it can be fierce. All right? And I've faced it myself, and I've come to a position where I have my processes in place to safeguard me from my competition, to safeguard my mindset from my competition. So we're going to get into all of that in this episode. All right. So here are my 6 basic, simple, and easy to implement steps that you can, use to switch your mindset and to basically view your competition as healthy competition. All right. So the first step is to understand that competition's healthy and everyone around you is just trying to find a way in this crazy, crazy world to achieve their dreams. That's the fundamental thing. And I think that it took me some time to realize this, to be honest. I know it sounds silly that, well, everyone's trying to figure out a way for themselves, but it actually does not occur to you immediately. You have to realize that whoever's moving through the online world or even in, the other 9-to-5 world, I don't know why I was going to call that the real world, but no, even in any sphere for that matter, whoever is, trying to move forward, they are trying to make a living. They are trying to achieve their dreams. Maybe it is to gain the financial freedom. Maybe it is to take that vacation. Maybe it is to take their kids to Disneyland. There are so many different reasons why someone is trying to move ahead, and you can't hold that against them. If they are better than you, then they are better than you, period. They are moving towards their goals, and you have to understand that. So you have to understand that competition is a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's only when, in certain circumstances that your competition does not react very well to you, and that's when it can get healthy. And we're going to kind of dig a little bit more into that as the episode goes on. But fundamentally understand that everyone's here to play a role. Everyone wants to make their mark in the world, and you can't hold it against them. Okay, so that was step number 1. Now, step number 2 is understanding your basic emotions. Okay, and what do I mean by this? I think I've talked about this before, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about this and with respect to this context. And that is when you are, thinking about your competition or whether you are just being normal in general. There are 2 places that you could be working from, okay? One is a place of jealousy, and another is a place of power, okay? Now, I'm going to explain these 2 places. The place of jealousy can either mean, place of insecurity, place of fear. Those are usually what I call the place of jealousy, fear, insecurity. All of those kind of bundle up into one. And then there is, of course, your place of power. Okay? So these are 2 very distinct places, and every single moment in my life, every time I have a negative thought, this is the question that I always ask myself. And I'm going to probably repeat this in future episodes because this is so ingrained in my life. But I always ask myself, well, am I working from a place of insecurity, or am I working from a place of power? Am I working from a place of learning, a place of love? Okay? So those are the 2 places that I'm talking about. So understand where you're coming from. If you find yourself, irritated that, your competition's moving forward, or your competition has probably released a product and, you are kind of sitting there bitching to your friend maybe, oh my God, look at her. She just released another product. Wasn't she a little cocky in her videos or whatnot? Every time you say something that's negative, think about it. Take a step back and think about whether you're working from a place of jealousy. And more often than not, especially in those negative moments, you will find that you're working from a place of jealousy, and that's just you can snap. For those of you who are listening to this podcast, I actually snap my fingers just for emphasis. But once you realize that, you can quickly snap back and either come to a neutral place or come from a place of learning or love or just basic security, okay? Now let's take a short break from our podcast episode and hear from our sponsors. This podcast episode is sponsored by the InstaSavvy Tribe, a paid monthly membership that gives you the technique, the game plan, and the mentorship to help you grow a quality following on Instagram, bring in those leads, and eventually make sales. TIST releases multiple topics every single month, ranging from planning your content strategy to creating a sales funnel using Instagram. This is so that you can fearlessly grow your business and gain that financial freedom you've been working so hard for. If you're interested to learn more, log on to www.themarketingnomad.co/TIST. If you're looking to accelerate your growth on Instagram with TIST, use coupon code podcast10 to get a 10% discount off the yearly plan for TIST. This is available exclusively for my podcast listeners. Now let's get back to our episode. So that's my second step. And I'm not sure who said this quote, but I think that the minute I heard that quote, this process automatically set in my mind. So I think the quote was something like, hold on, let me try to remember it. The quote was something like, the people who are talking negative about you are the ones who will never reach where you are at, or something like that. I'm not sure if that was the exact. I'm sorry, whoever said this, you said it so brilliantly. I'm sorry, I'm butchering it. But it's something like, those people who are constantly talking negative about you, they're behind your back for a reason or something like that. And that got me thinking. I mean, instead of thinking, oh, whoever's talking about my back and not to care about them, well, yes, but that's going to be a different episode, guys. I'm going to talk a little bit about how to not be put down by negative thoughts. So if you want that episode, let me know in the comments. Okay, anyway, where were we? Yes, we were talking. But I kind of took that quote and I transformed it into something else. For me, it was, am I talking about someone behind their back because I'm not where they are? Okay, and that was such a powerful mind shift for me, per se, all right? And I think the second line of the quote goes something like, people who are ahead of you won't even bother commenting on you because they know they've been through all that and they know what you're doing and they're completely fine with that. So that's when I realized that if I am making negative comments, that means I'm behind them. And like I said, it was so powerful. And every time I catch myself, thinking something negative about someone, whoever it is for that matter, this thought always comes in my mind. Am I working from a place of jealousy, insecurity, or am I working from a place of love and learning? And that itself, guys, has changed my life a ton. Because, yes, it's quiet but natural to have these mini slip-ups and to kind of feel like, oh, okay, yeah, what is she trying to do with her life or something like that? All those negative thoughts do come. But how you process them and how you take them and shift them into something positive immediately, of course, is what makes all the difference in the world, okay? So step number 2 was understanding your emotions and learning and figuring out whether you are working from a place of jealousy or you're working from a place of power. And guys, we always want to work from a place of power, okay? Now, step number 3 is don't be afraid to learn from your competition, all right? Always keep observing what they're doing. You never know. They might actually be doing something better than you, and there's no harm in learning what they're doing right, okay? I do say, however, I do kind of put it out there, and I've said this quite a lot, is follow your industry standards and stand apart from your competition. But to stand apart from your competition, you actually need to know what they're up to, what they're doing, and what they're not doing, so that you can step in and provide for your audience, provide for the same target audience what they are unable to provide at the moment, or it just doesn't occur to them to provide at the moment, okay? So don't be afraid to observe your competition. Don't, be in the unhealthy mindset of blocking them because you're fearing their, them, their growth, or you feel like it's harming your mindset, whatnot. Think of it this way: you're learning something new from them, and that can never be bad. You never know how that's going to help your business. Of course, I don't say copy their work. I'm going to say get inspired by their work, okay? There's a huge difference over there. So make sure that, whatever you're learning the concepts and you're trying to implement that in the right legal way, okay? So yes, so basically, step number 3 was don't be afraid to learn, be open about it, don't restrict your mindset. In the beginning, I think I was feeling a little, I would say intimidated. I would feel a little bit intimidated by all these people in my industry because I was just starting out. I was like at 100 subscribers or something like that. And at that point, I thought that it was better for my mental health to kind of unsubscribe or unfollow them, because I thought that I was constantly comparing myself and whatnot. Well, if that's what you feel at that point, then yes, by all means, go ahead, do whatever it is to make yourself feel better. But here's what, I have to say. Take some time to recalibrate your mind and to figure out that when you are working from that mindset, you're actually working from a place of insecurity. Take it up as a challenge. Take it up as, if they can get there, I can definitely get there, kind of thing. And use that as, a starting point for your goals or whatnot, and start working towards that. Learn about what they're doing, because all said and done, whether they're a competition or the industry leader, they're doing something right, okay? And I mean, as much as we probably don't want to praise them, you have to, like I said, work from a place of power, okay? So don't be afraid to learn. Don't be afraid to follow your competition. Don't be afraid to reach out to them. Don't be afraid to collaborate with them. Don't be afraid, period, okay? And let me actually tell you one incident that was pretty recent, and I think I had to showcase my thought process in all of this. And I kind of surprised myself at how I took it, because that kind of showed growth. I don't know if it makes sense to you guys, but I'm going to talk a little bit about it. So I have this tribe member, okay? She's amazing. She has helped me so much in building the tribe. She's a founding member and all of those things. Now she, and I don't want to quote names and stuff like that, so person A, okay, dear friend of mine now, and she, every time I've been stuck with the tribe, she's always been there to help me. So we're friends, basically. Anyway, she basically is a coach for writers. And recently, she reached out to me. She said she wanted to look into Instagram coaching, and she wanted my thoughts on it. Now, if I were working from a place of jealousy or insecurity, I'm pretty sure that I would have been mean to her, and I would have probably threatened to remove her from the group, all of that, because I do teach about Instagram strategy, right? So if I were working from a place of insecurity, I'm pretty sure I would have been worried about, her taking my ideas or her teaching my ideas and all of those things. Instead, and this became more of a reflex for me, it was no longer a conscious decision. I actually helped her through it, and whatever she needed, she wanted to hop on a 30-minute call, I was there for her. I was sending her voice notes, encouraging her, helping her out decide whether she wanted to do Instagram coaching for just writers or Instagram coaching for everyone else, and all of that. And she actually reached out to me much, much later, and she said, well, Prit, I can't even begin to thank you, because not everyone would have reacted the way you did. And that's when I realized, yes, that's true. I worked from a place of power. For me, it was more about helping a friend in need more about helping a fellow tribe member, a fellow founding member, and I just wanted to see them prosper. Because all said and done, guys, remember what I said in step number 1. Everyone is trying to achieve their dreams over here. It's not, nobody has the secret agenda that they want to put you down or whatnot. They're just trying to get to where they want to be, and you cannot hold it against them, okay? So that's what it is. And trust me, guys, I have actually learned so much from this particular founding member through the process of her thinking about, Instagram coaching for writers or for people in general. So I also learned from the process. So it was not just a one-way thing where I was only giving tips. So don't be afraid of that, Stop holding it against them. Stop holding your competition against them having goals, big dreams, whatever it is. If anything, that should inspire you to have your own big dreams, all right? And of course, never apologize for those big dreams. Okay, so now we come on to step number 4, okay? And step number 4 is absolutely crucial, and that is try to identify what your audience is looking for and what your competition can't bring to the table, okay? Try as they may, there will be some things that your competition cannot bring to the table, and that's where you have to swoop in. And believe me, guys, at every instance that I have been challenged by a competition, I have been extremely well aware of what I can bring to the table, and that itself has put me in a place of power. Just knowing that, the people who will opt for me will be choosing me for my personality, my values, my beliefs, all of those things, the creativity I bring to the table, or the way I handle things, all of that are unique to me, okay? And I have so much confidence in what I offer that it automatically puts me in a position of power. And it has to be the same with each one. Even if, this founding tribe member were looking at me, there are certain things that she brings to the table that I, try as I may, will not be able to bring that to the table. And you need to find out what those key things are, and you need to place yourself in a position of power because of those things, okay? So it is absolutely crucial to understand your strengths. It's absolutely crucial to understand what your audience is looking for and what your competition cannot bring to the table that you, very specifically, as unique as you, are bringing to the table, okay? Huge tip, because that itself, guys, the minute you figure that out, you will see that mind switch like that. And again, I snap my fingers for emphasis, so it looks like today's the day I'm snapping fingers. All right? It's like once I start a habit, I can't get over it until maybe the end of the day or a couple of days. It's a weird thing, guys. All right, so yes, guys, so make sure that you follow step number 4, absolutely, because that itself will change your mindset. It will change everything. That is a step number 4, game changer, guys, okay? Now, so we've kind of figured out 4 steps, and I actually thought that there were 6 steps, but I think the next 2 parts of this podcast episode, I'm going to talk about situation 1 and 2, and I think you'll get 2 more steps from there, okay? So we've kind of figured out 4 steps, and I'm going to go over the steps just a little bit, okay? The first one was understand that your competition is healthy, and everyone is just trying to find a way to achieve their dreams here, so you can't hold it against them, okay? Number 2 is understanding your emotions. Are you working from a place of jealousy, or are you working from a place of learning, of power, of love, okay? And you always want to be working from a place of power because you are the boss, okay? Now, step number 3 is don't be afraid to learn from your competition, the positives of what they're doing, the negatives, all of that, every single thing. Guys, it's like a mini classroom that you can learn for free, okay? Step number 4 is identify what your audience is looking for, what your competition cannot bring to the table, and what makes you unique. That is the game changer, and that is probably the most crucial point of this entire episode, because the minute you find that out, guys, place of power, okay? Now, let's look at a few situations. I think one or two of them have actually occurred to me, and I will actually talk about my own experiences with unhealthy situations with competition. Okay? Now, okay, the first one, let's see what it is. It says, situation one, your competition is way ahead of you and they're doing super awesome. Okay, well, it's not an unhealthy situation. It's actually a pretty healthy situation. All right, so quite but natural, and especially when you're starting out, like I told you, it can get very intimidating, it can get very daunting, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed, okay? So a few questions that I asked myself when I was looking at people who were already there for who are at 90K followers or 100K followers or whatnot. And I was like, okay, let's take a step back. Let's not get scared. And let's see what's happening. The first question that I asked myself is, how many years have they been in the industry? And that itself, some of them was like 2 years, some of them was 10 years, some of them even 15 years, guys. So the minute I realized that, I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm just a month in, so there's time. There's time for me to get scared. So I'm gonna chill out right now, okay? That was the first one. The second one was, what makes them unique and why are they such a hit with their customers? So this was actually really crucial because for some, and there are different players in the field, of course, right? So for some, they were bringing their personality to the table. Others, they were giving tips after tips, and they were like a bucket load of tips anytime they even uttered a single word. Okay, another one was more of the fun element, and they were just more about showing their life. So there were different things that they were bringing, that each of these people were bringing to the table, and I took a look at that. It worked for each one of them, and I needed to find what worked for me. It was as simple as that. The minute I realized that each one of them had something unique that they brought to the table, it made me that much more comfortable to be myself and to just bring my strengths to the table, okay? Then another question that I asked myself at this point is, what is it that they bring to the table that I wasn't at that time? Maybe they were posting 5 times a week. I ramped up my posting to 5 times a week. Maybe they were engaging with people in the comments and they were really active on Instagram. That's when I started to respond to DMs. Some of them even sent, like when I followed them, they sent me a voice note, and I thought that was super, super cute. So I started sending out voice notes to people who followed me recently. So these were things that I was inspired by them, and I saw that they were doing these things that made them so unique, that made them stand out, and I started incorporating that into my business, into my daily activity, just so that I was able to, I wouldn't say mimic their success, but there's a reason why they are at that position, and you have to understand that. There's a reason why they are at the top, and even if it is, mimicking their practices, I don't think that that is copying. There's a lot of difference between getting inspired and copying their work. So I was constantly inspired by them, and I was working from a place of power, okay? Because I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn what they were doing right and how I could be doing right as well, okay? So that was something that, I did. And one more thing is that sometimes when you find 3 of your industry leaders doing the same thing, you have to understand that that's probably what your audience expects, and that's why they're doing it. So understanding those key industry standards also helped me resonate better with my audience. So like I said, I was coming from a place of learning, and I just wanted to absorb everything around me. I was like a sponge. I am a sponge, I guess. I feel like that is my inherent nature. I'm always just trying to absorb information around me, okay? And I guess that's a good thing to be. Yeah, of all the things I could call myself on air today, I called myself a sponge. Yep. Okay, so that was situation number 1, okay? What to do if your competition's ahead of you and they're doing super, super awesome. Like I said, always come from a place of power. You can quote me on that. Okay, now situation 2. Your competition is pretty close to you. They're not an industry leader per se. They're pretty close to you in terms of where they're standing. Now, this one is actually a pretty tricky spot to be in, and I've been in this spot for, I don't know, I can't even count how many times, multiple times, to be honest with you. Now, my trick, okay, to passing by them, because all said and done, you want to pass by your competition, right? In a healthy way, of course, with a healthy mindset and just doing your thing. But my trick to passing them by was to understand my audience. It boiled down to that very simple thing of just understanding what exactly was my audience looking from me. Like, what were they looking for? Okay, and that is also one of the fundamental things in marketing. I didn't make it up, okay, guys? It's one of the fundamental things in marketing, and it is absolute key. You have to understand that, even though your competition is close to you, your audience is choosing you for a reason. Like we said before, figure out your unique points. What is it that you bring to the table? Is it your sense of humor, like in my case? Is it your energy, again, like in my case? Or is it maybe even looks, even your lifestyle, even your beliefs, your values, whatever it is, there is something unique about you. There are multiple things that are unique about you that you are bringing to the table that makes your audience resonate with you specifically, okay? So just have confidence in those things, hone in on those things. Your personality, values, beliefs, all of these come into play, and those become distinguishing factors when someone is choosing between you and your competition, especially when you guys are very close to each other. Okay, so I highly recommend, I feel like this is the theme of the episode, I highly recommend to spend some time thinking about what makes you different. And more importantly, guys, how do you let your audience know what makes you different? I'm going to repeat that, and if you are multitasking right now, I want you to stop whatever you're doing, bring me back all of your attention, because this is super important. I'm going to say it. Spend some time thinking about what makes you different, and more importantly, guys, how do you let your audience know what makes you different? Because you can be different all you want, but there's no point to that if your audience doesn't know what makes you different. It doesn't matter if you are hiding all your uniqueness and your audience has no idea how to differentiate you from your competition. All right? So that is super key. Making sure that your audience knows that you are different, or what you bring to the table that's completely unique. Okay? So that was situation number 2. And now we kind of come into situation number 3, which is a super unhealthy situation. And I've been in this situation, I think, twice up until now. And I handle both situations very differently, and I'll talk about that. So situation 3, extremely unhealthy, and that is your competition is copying your work. And I know that is such an ugly spot to be in. I hated every second of it, and I don't know, I felt like at each point of that situation, I kept asking myself, am I being petty? But no, I was coming from a place of power because I was working so hard on my content. I know how much time I spend in creating notes for this podcast episode, or designing my own posts, because at the moment I don't have anyone designing my posts or creating my content for me. So I know the blood, sweat, and tears. Yes, guys, I've cried before while designing content. So yes, I know all of that goes into my work. And when somebody copies or, in quotes, tries to be inspired, but they're actually technically copying your work, it does get so frustrating. And here are 2 ways that I actually handled it, okay? So the first one, and of course, guys, you can choose whichever method works for you, but the first one was a wake-up call for me. I was pretty new into the industry, and I had heard of people copying, but I just didn't think that it would happen to me so soon. And yes, everyone's going to say, well, Prit, it's a sign of that, you growing and becoming bigger and whatnot, blah, blah. Take it positively. No, I didn't take it positively, and I don't think I will even to this day. Yes, it's a sign that you're growing, but no, I don't think that there's anything positive about someone copying your work, okay? So, yeah, that's it. I think it really annoyed me. It really annoyed me when people said that. Take it positively. There's nothing you can do about it, and whatnot. And I don't know why I made up that accent for to imitate someone else. But yeah, that's how disgruntled I am about that. Them saying that. Anyway, okay. Sorry. Back to story. Okay, so there was this person who was a digital marketer, and I think at that time I was only at 500 followers. So you can imagine why I was so surprised that someone was copying my work, okay? I was practically, at a pretty low number. So anyway, this person, she was at 10,000 followers. Yes, so one more reason why I was like, okay, what is going on? Now, what she would do is that she would take my posts, and she wouldn't copy the visual aspects of it, but she would take my words, Google synonyms for my words, and she would put them off as her own. And not just that, whatever I posted on LinkedIn, because she, of course, friended me there as well, and I was like, oh, okay, wow, networking, let's do this, and all of that crazy stuff that I was doing back then. I said yes to her on LinkedIn, and then she started copying my work on LinkedIn, and she started putting those on Instagram. My work on Instagram, she would copy and put them on LinkedIn because she thought I wouldn't find out, or I was stupid enough not to know what synonyms of the words that I used were for. Now, that was a very complicated sentence, and I'm glad I made it through the end of that sentence. Okay. Anyway, so I have a tendency to use words that are, I would say, not normal words, okay? And I understand that. I do. It's something that I have done all through my life. And like, instead of saying, I can't think of an example right now, but I tend to use a little bit more of, I wouldn't say advanced vocabulary, but yes, it's not normal words. So she would use those words and convert them into ordinary colloquial words, and then she would put them up. And then she would market it as her own. I saw it a couple of times. And at that point, I thought that I couldn't do anything because, well, it was synonyms and she was not copying my work word to word. So I was like, okay, what do I do? Spoke to my parents about it, and then I was freaking out. I even told my followers that this was happening. They were like, my followers, God bless them. They were like, tell us who she is. We'll, spam her account, and we'll tell Instagram that she's she's messing with you and all that. And like, really cute, awesome people. Love you guys if you are listening to this. Anyway, but then I kept trying to tell them, well, she's not copying my work word to word. She's Googling synonyms and then she's putting them. So I'm not sure how legal that is. So I waited. I patiently waited. I was just watching her. And then I caught her. Okay? I caught her using exact word to word of what I'd written on LinkedIn, and she had posted the same on Instagram. And that was it, guys. I took that as an opportunity. I took screenshots and I sent her a message through my DMs. And I told her that, I thought we were friends. I'm a little disappointed. There seems to be, my work copied, and this is not the first time. I have noticed that, words were replaced and stuff like that. And I sent her screenshots of those that I thought that she was copying. So at that point, she replied saying, oh, oops, well, you know how it is with writing. Sometimes you might copy work even without, knowing, and you might not realize that you're using someone else's words and some bullshit of that sort. So anyway, being the nice person that I am, I was like, oh, well, I understand. Well, I have been a blogger for more years than you can count. I didn't actually say this in this way. But, well, I was pretty pissed off, guys. So, yeah, I was like, well, I've been a blogger for a very long time, so I completely understand about, subconsciously copying someone's work, writing work, and stuff like that. But please make sure that you don't repeat it again. And then she ended things nice, and then we kind of made up, and we were like, okay, things are fine, I'm fine. And then she waits for 2 weeks, guys. 2 weeks I've not even forgotten the incident. And she just immediately posts something else that was copied word to word from my Instagram post. So she posted it on LinkedIn, and it was just word to word copy of my own post. And I was beyond furious. That's when I realized that I need to be doing something more than just talking to people in the DMs. Immediately, I invested in getting myself a terms and conditions for my website, privacy policy, disclaimer, contracts, every single possible thing that could bind my company in a legal ball. Just, you know how you have those hazmat suits? Yes, I kind of put this whole legal stuff so that I could protect my company from any damn person messing with it, okay? So I did all of that. I didn't reach out to her. I did all of that. I put it out there. I put it on the website. And then I reached out to her and I gave it in a form of a formal notice. I told her that, this is what I noticed. And, if this persists, then I would be forced to take legal action. And I was ready, guys. I was ready. And getting a cease and desist letter, I think that's what they call it. It's a formal legal notice. It doesn't even cost too much. It's a formal legal notice that tells the other person, and of course, guys, I'm not the legal expert over here, but it tells the other person that, hey, you're doing something wrong, and if you continue doing this, we're going to send you a legal notice. So I didn't hire a lawyer for that, but then I promised her that if she continued, I would be doing that. And she obviously got scared because the minute you bring legal stuff into the issue, and I even, sent her links to my terms and conditions and all of those things. I sent her that. So obviously she got very scared and she backed off. And for my own mental health, to be honest with you, I blocked her after that. Like, after that, she just disgusted me so much, and I didn't even want to be friends with her on any platform. So, yes, I know some people can come and tell you, well, Prit, she can always get a fake ID and come onto your page and then view your work and copy it. Well, if she's doing all that trouble, then I just feel sorry for her. Terribly, terribly sorry for her. So yeah, that's just how it is. Okay, so that was situation number one. So that actually, the positive thing from that situation is it just was a wake-up call that, it doesn't matter whether I'm at 500 followers or 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000, I needed to get my legal shit together, okay? And that's what I did, okay? So yeah, in case any of you want to feel more secure, I think the best way to go about it would be to protect yourself legally in case someone's going to copy your work, okay? Now, this is another situation that happened very recently. I think this was in October of 2019, and it was so ugly, guys. It was really disgusting, and I can't believe that people would actually stoop to that level, but whatever it is. Okay, let's talk about it. Now, this other person, okay, I've been chatting with her for about 3 months, and she was a coach. She was a business coach, and we'd gotten to know each other. We were quite friendly. We were joking around. It was really nice because in this online space, often it can get really lonely, right? And just knowing another solopreneur, knowing another entrepreneur, it just really makes your life a little easier because you know that you're not the only one struggling, or you're not the only one with all this business trauma to deal with. Okay. So yes, so she and I had gotten very close and whatnot, and when she had told me about what she was doing, it kind of seemed to me that she was an Instagram coach, okay? And like I told you guys, I always try to work from a place of power, so I took that as healthy competition, and I was, discussing ideas with her, strategies with her, and all of those things. Now, when I started my tribe, all right, I think she expressed interest to come onto my tribe, and that's when I had, my terms and conditions and all of those contracts in place, all these agreements in place. And I said, well, yes, absolutely, but, I do have a clause in my terms and conditions that says if you are planning to join my membership, then for a couple of months after, you will not be able to start a membership of your own or something like that. And I specifically mentioned that to her because I was coming from a place of love. I truly knew that she wanted to do a membership of her own, and I thought that she was an Instagram coach. So I said, well, I mean, this is there in the terms and conditions. I just want you to be aware. And she said, yeah, that's fine, completely okay. I'm not an Instagram coach, whatever, etc. and stuff like that. So I said, yeah, completely fine, absolutely okay. And then she got into my tribe, and within, I think, a couple of days, she started marketing herself as an Instagram coach, and her entire program detailed every single thing that my tribe offered at that point. And I was like, okay, what just happened? And I was so hurt because, well, at first I thought of her as a friend, right? So I have a tendency to trust people right off the bat, as you guys can see. So yes, I was really hurt, and more importantly, I had reached out to her before, and I had told her that, are you an Instagram coach and whatnot, and we had discussed this. So for me, it was like a really huge breach of trust, and her entire program outlined exactly what my tribe outlined, and that pissed me off. So what I did was I stepped back. The minute I realized that I'd been double-crossed by her, I stepped back. I pulled myself out of the equation because I didn't want to work from a place of hurt. Okay? I pulled myself out of the equation, and I brought in my legal department. I had my contracts in place, so I felt great. At the end of it, it wasn't even up to me. So that's something that I think is a huge takeaway, especially when you're dealing with competition and unhealthy situations with your competition. Always better, regardless of whether you just started your company or whether you are, growing pretty fast. You want to make sure that you are covered legally as much as possible. Okay? Consult your legal advisor, get your contracts in place, make sure you are secured. At least knowing that you have these contracts in place will put people off from copying your work and stuff like that. Okay? So yeah, that's basically coming to the end of this podcast episode. If you're worried about competition, copying, and unhealthy situations with competitions, then put your legal stuff in place. If it's more about the mindset thing, about someone overtaking you, someone stealing your clients, you have to realize that there is abundance in this world. I know I'm probably going all spiritual here, but it's true, guys. There is abundance in this world, okay? Just because someone follows somebody else does not mean they can't follow you. Just because I myself follow 3 people in my industry, or in any given industry, there are at least 3 people that I'm following. So don't work from a place of scarcity. Work from a place of abundance. Know that at any given point, there's always going to be someone better than you, and you have to accept that. Either you can use it as a positive thing and, motivate yourself to be better and better, or you can use it as, a demotivating thing and a negative thing, and kind of dig yourself a hole and go sit there and never come out. Okay, the choice is yours. You just have to focus on giving your best. Keep on improving, guys. Never stop learning, and soon you'll be so invested in yourself that you will actually stop being petty about competition. It's a fact. I can vouch for it, okay? And, when we're coming to the point about, your competition being better than you, biggest advice I can give you is become their friend. There is so much that you can mutually benefit from each other and grow together. There is abundance in this world, and I am going to repeat that again. There is abundance in this world. Don't ever forget that, okay? And with that note, I am going to wrap this episode up, guys. I had such a fun time talking so much about this. I felt like I truly shared all my experiences, and I know that this episode is going to help you so much in terms of mindset, and of course with the whole unhealthy situations with your competition as well. All right, guys, that's a wrap from me. If you guys are interested to know more about me, my entrepreneurial journey, feel free to follow me on the Instagram. No. Sorry, feel free to follow me on Instagram. I'm the Marketing Nomad on Instagram. All right, guys, if you really like this episode, please give me a thumbs up. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to any of the podcasts, please leave me a review. I highly need those so that I can help more and more people just like you. All right, guys, I am calling this episode done, if that makes sense, and I'll talk to you in my next episode. Bye, guys. Welcome to the Marketing Nomad Show, the fun pit stop for all things Instagram, where I also share my entrepreneurial journey, some of my lessons, wins, and challenges along the way, so it can inspire you to get started and grow on Instagram as well.